we are very happy to be with all of you today. Today is a very special day, the World Mental Health Day. It is a very good opportunity for all of us to come together and talk about mental health. So this year, the theme for the World Health Day celebration is actually, around creating awareness and making investment. So the theme says greater investment, greater access. So what we wish and hope to do is, try to have build a larger partnerships and let us all work together for mental health for all and all for mental health. With that spirit, you would like to kind of have a little bit discussion around this big important issue which is affecting all of us, and then we'll like to hear from you and conversate with you for your questions. You can leave your questions in the comment box. Maybe we can go with a round of introduction for all of us and try to make some opening comment. Aishwarya, can you please come in?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, guys. Happy Mental Health Day, and really happy connecting for you. The entire mission of the campaign is to ignite conversations and break the stigma of mental health. So, mental health includes emotional, psychological, and social well-being, and of course, how to handle the stresses, especially keeping the COVID times in mind. So, I think we are on a beautiful mission. We all are in the O spectrum dealing with the entire thing of it. UNICEF, with the partner of Gujarat Youth Forum, iHappiness Hearth and Center of Excellence from PDPU, on the mission to ignite the happiness index and spread positivity and happiness through the entire campaign of ours. We have beautiful panelists around with us, and all are beautiful in their own spectrums. So we'll start off with the initial conversation, inviting Chiranjeev Patel with a brief info about him. So Chiranjeev basically is, I think, one of the most like art of giving is his asset. He is a CEO of and founder trustee of Karma Foundation and Young Entrepreneur Big Time Change Maker. He's the MD of PC Snehal Group and founder trustee Karma Foundation. Chiranjeev, you have been the most impactful individual when it comes to art of giving. And as an entrepreneur and youth, what would you like to mention and share your journey? How do you take care of children's well-being and youth well-being? So if you can light, how can we actually inculcate the mental health conversations and break the stigma around, especially the youth of our country because they are the future. So if you can share your journey around mental health, targeting to entrepreneurs and youth, will be beautiful.
Aishwarya, as far as the art of giving back, like you said, there is no art in giving back. It is a simple process that all of us should do, and I think it is our prime duty as individuals when we are here. And if there is slight success also that each of us are blessed with in various ways in our life in the spheres that we all want to go ahead with, then I think we it is our prime duty to give back. It is just about finding your why, and maybe my why of life was to do this, and it is nothing but selfish interest that I have because it brings a lot of happiness and satisfaction to me. So I don't do anything for anyone else, and I just do it for my own mental peace. And that is something when today we are here talking about mental health and mental peace. This brings a lot of mental peace to me
Yes.
and gets a lot of balance to my entire routine with all the stress and all the responsibilities that all of us have. Now, when I use the word stress, I mean, I think it is the most commonly used word, and we are so used to using it in our day-to-day life. I mean, with our friends, with our family, with others. What's going on? अरे यार बहुत ज़्यादा stress है, बहुत ज़्यादा stress है. It's become such a routine word, and that using that word itself breaks
Right.
a lot of positivity in our own life, and this entire balance that we are trying to gather completely breaks. No matter how much meditation then you do, how much you're trying to do the physical fitness, but when you keep constantly telling yourself towards all the stress that surrounds you and the
Right.
way you react at things, that brings on your life after 9 a.m. in the morning. So that is a lot of negativity where we bring in by using such words and constantly telling your mind. So the first step which I tell people, or the startups or students that I've been working with, is that first of all, stop thinking negative and saying negative things. I mean, the first step towards anything else is positivity. And I have had, when you
Yeah.
talk about my journey, one of the biggest learnings, I think, a couple of spiritual gurus or people that we both have been meeting together. They all have been telling us that what is the power of positivity. But we hear it. We see the YouTube videos and we keep hearing each other all the time. But when it comes to practicing it, we don't. But let me share a personal experience. When I have started practicing the power of positivity and power of blessings constantly in my thoughts about any work, any personal work, any business work, or any professional things that I have around me, it has really worked. So the first step towards anything that I keep telling the students, like I said, is the power of positivity. The second I tell them is to use this opportunity that this entire scenario in the world or nature that has come to us and use it positively in the way to connect to our inner self. This is, this was really not the time to go out. This was the time to go in. And people who have utilized this time in going inside and realizing the true potential, the true strength, and about all the positive things that we were blessed with जिसके लिए हमको कोई time नहीं था, that we are blessed with so many beautiful things. Each of us are blessed with so many beautiful things in our life. So this was the time that they should have spent, going inside and talking to their inner self. When you do that, the most important thing I told them is to use this time to find the right vision and mission of your life. And by doing that, you can solve a lot of problems that you have. And once you do have a vision and mission,
Right.
you need to plan it strategically and divide your goals into the 30, 60, 90 formats. So this is what I have been sharing with them and people who've been working with me, and we've been doing this exercise constantly. And I think finding, most importantly for each of us also, when I talk to students, is I ask them to pick up calls and talk to their mentors, whoever it is, whether it's me or you or anyone of else, or even the friends whom they really trust, or whom they have faith in. The first step is to have faith in yourself, and then your mentor or someone who really trusts you. And you keep sharing your journeys, you keep sharing your goals with them constantly. That brings a lot of balance towards things that you have in your life.
Amazing. I think the beautiful set of mentoring and spiritual gurus is what we are looking at. Forwarding the entire campaign to Aditi, Dr. Aditi Gowarakar. I think she's the most multifaceted individual I can think of. She's a supermodel, she's an actor, she's a psychologist, she's a Vipassana meditator. She's in impacting gazillion lives through her entire life journey. Aditi, I would love if you can share your thoughts on importance of mental health, especially during the COVID times. It'll be beautiful. Over to you, Aditi.
World Mental Health Day. And what I would recommend, or I would want everybody on this platform to look at, is not just pay attention to your mental well being, your emotional well being only today, but throughout your life, starting now. Start paying attention to your mind, because what happens is that in India, especially, there is a lot of stigma attached to mental disorders, mental illnesses, even now. But if you have a fracture of your hand, you will go to an orthopedician. But if your mind is fractured, why is it that we have to use our willpower to get over it? Because everybody says, it's okay, you'll get over it, or let's go and have a cup of tea, snap out of it. It doesn't. It is a disorder. Your mind has a fracture. So one needs to pay attention to that and repair and take time to heal it. And it does. It does. You can enjoy life as you're meant to, because life is beautiful. You have beauty around you. It's all about being aware of noticing it, because we always put our happiness in the future. We say, if I get this, I will be happy. If I get this, I will be happy. However, in this moment, if you start noticing around you and start expressing gratitude, like Mr. Patel said, that power of positivity, I'm going to add to it to say that if you start practicing power of gratitude, that will really add a lot to your life. Because ultimately, if you think about it, you can breathe, you have a roof on your head, you have food on your plate. Even if you don't find anything to be grateful for, just the fact that you have 10 fingers, you can move around, you can be grateful for that. So generating this kind of vibrational power in yourself when you wake up in the morning, the first thing, and before you go to sleep, if you can just fold your hands and be grateful for 3 good things that happen throughout your life, that will add to your mental well-being, to your mental peace. Now, given today's situation, what has happened is that our mind is everywhere. It's all over the place. There is no stillness. And our body, which actually should be moving, is still. So it should be the other way around. Your body should be moving So I call sitting the new smoking. So it is very, very crucial for you to be aware of the fact that if you sit for more than 20-25 minutes, stand up, walk around just for 5 minutes, and that will help the circulation going. It will help the prana, the life force which exists within you, to get distributed in a much better manner. You will start enjoying physical well-being along with mental well-being. So very crucial. Second part is becoming aware of your thoughts. Each individual thinks between 60 to 70,000 thoughts every single day, out of which around 80% are negative. So imagine that we have so much of negativity within us, which is why if you see the news, the newspapers, the print media is always focusing on negativity. So for us, it becomes very crucial, especially today, to become aware of the fact that yes, we have the superpower, we have the capability to pay attention to what we are thinking. The minute that starts happening, and that happens when you start calming your mind down. And that happens through sitting just merely for 5 minutes with yourself every now and then. If you can't meditate, it's okay. I understand it, because a lot of people come to me and say that, we've never meditated, we don't know how to do it. Just sit with yourself for 5 minutes, even if it is with a cup of tea, coffee, without any gadgets, without any screens. Just stare out, look at the sky, look at the trees if you have around, the birds flying. That itself will allow your mind to settle down. And then you will be focusing on the solution and not on the problem. Which is also why I developed this 21-day transformation program, to help people where holistic well-being is concerned. So having said that, I wouldn't like to take more time of everyone, because I know that Ami and Hana definitely want to share their thoughts as well.
Yes.
Thank you, Aishwarya, for inviting me, and here's wishing you
Yeah.
all the very best for to everybody who's on this
Thank
platform.
you. Yes. Thanks a lot. Over to you, Ami. I think Ami is the most beautiful soul I've ever come across. She's a celebrity stylist, former fashion director of Los Facial, creative director of Harper's Bazaar, and of course, by her personal cause, she's also an art of living faculty. The way she impacts humans is impeccable. I'm really honored having you, Ami. Please share beautiful thoughts on mental health and what is its importance. Over to you, Ami.
You're muted, Ami. Ami, you're muted.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, can you hear me now? So, well, of course, mental health has become a buzzword now. It wasn't when
Hello?
we were growing up. It was just, it wasn't even considered a problem. I remember reading a book a few years ago where it said, think positive, and how do you achieve, how do you succeed, and it was all about achieving your dreams, your desires, and it clearly said that if there was anything that was negative, drive those negative thoughts away. But there is a secret in the mind, which is whenever you resist something, it will persist. Yeah. So as an art of living faculty member, that is something that we've been teaching the youth. Resist, whatever you resist will persist. Hence, just being able to drive away negative thoughts is not possible. However, there is a secret. There is a secret, and that lies just literally under your nose, and that is your breath. Yeah. So we take 17 to 21,000 breaths a day, and the quality of our life is very, very important. Hence, paying attention to the breath is very important. Having a negative mind frame, this pandemic has taught everyone big lessons, and has, the best of us could have gone down under, thinking that, things are maybe not going to improve, gone through anxiety, gone through stress. But personally, for me, practicing and teaching breathing techniques that help reverse this tendency of the mind. The secret in the breath is that every breath that you take has a certain impact on your mind. Yeah. So anything that you think of, if you're thinking happy thoughts, you are actually breathing in a certain rhythm. Yeah. If you're anxious, if you're depressed, your breath runs in a certain way. But what we teach you, what I think is amazing, and this Vedic wisdom is so amazing, is that you actually reverse this. You change your breathing pattern to impact your mind. So there are some amazing quick hacks, some beautiful breathing techniques that you can use and impact your mind rather than the other way around. So that is something, the Sudarshan Kriya, of course, is an amazingly sublime breathing technique that not just that helps you on all the levels, not just the mind, but the intellect, the ego, the body. But I truly believe in the power of the breath. And like our founder, Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar says, he says, no breath, no life. No as in N-O, no breath, no life. And K-N-O-W, no breath, no life. Yeah. So for me, literally sharing this during the lockdown to various colleges that have signed MOUs with us, and my personal friends in the fashion industry and all over, they have immensely benefited from this, and managed to get out of anxiety, and now back to work. But that was an amazing experience that I had, was just practicing and sharing.
Thank you so much, Ami. Lot to learn from you.
Thank you, Aishwarya.
Now I'm inviting the young, dynamic, beautiful girl, Ahana. She's an author, also a human wellness guide, and she's a poet also. Please share your thoughts on mental health and importance of it, and of course healing, because you have been healing people in an impeccable way. Over to you, Ahana.
The majority of conversation is about taking care of your physical health. But I truly believe that your physical health and your mental health kind of go hand in hand. And the same way we do different kinds of workout for our body, whether it's like yoga or Tabata, or there are so many things going on. The same way there are different tools we can use for the mind, because especially in today's day and age, with our generation and the generation below us, which is the future of the world essentially, we consume a lot of content. That is pretty much all that we do from different spaces of life. So we are essentially the content that we consume. So the same way that when we consume negative content, it creates a blueprint in our mind, and we cannot not live in the digital age. So that would be a bit silly to say not to go on your screens. Definitely, controlling screen time is massively important. So that is something that must be looked into. But the kind of content that you look at creates a blueprint in your mind, and your actions and your behavior follow based on that. So, as human beings, we're all connected by nothing else but emotion. Why do you form a connection with a person? It's because you guys connect on some common story, it could be anything. And as human beings, we all go through love, laughter, sadness, fear, greed, anxiety, all of it. The good thing is that in 2020, I would like to believe through the pandemic, people have become kinder on a larger level, as much as anxiety has increased as well. And content that is consumed today, like I mentioned earlier, we are the content that we consume. So the more that you look into things that make you feel happy more than anything else, it could be anything, that kind of sets your vibration in that mode and lets you do better in other spaces of your life, or have a better conversation with someone. Also, if you aren't at a frequency that you believe is working well for you in the moment, because of whatever the reason might be going on, take a few steps back. What Ami spoke about, breath work, is something that I believe in very strongly as well, because it literally slows you down and reconfigurates your brain, if that's the correct way to put it. And I do practice breath work as well. Maybe not so much in depth, but it is something that definitely helps a lot to keep the mind in balance, and just to be aware of when you are the person who is not being the best version of yourself. And before I take up any more time, I would just like to say, the same way when you get injured on your knee or your elbow or anything like that, you will go and get the treatment required. So the same way, when you are feeling something in your mind that you do not think you can take care of yourself, you must definitely go to someone who has a more professional point of view on it, who has studied something on it, who has a clearer perspective of mind, and it's literally the same. So, normalizing mental health, the same way that we take care of our physical health, I would like to make that something that I contribute to in life generally, to the country, to the world at large, to myself. So yeah, that's my take on mental health. And I would suggest to all the youth out there, please, please seek help. It is literally just the same as saying, my shoulder is hurting after that really bad workout, so I'm going to go to the physio and, get it sorted. Same way, my mind is just not staying still and nothing's working for me. Meditation's not working, breathing's not working, nothing's working. Go to a professional, speak it out, release that energy, speak what's on your mind, and start healing. So yes, so I hope that's how mental health gets normalized in our country.
Thank you so much, man. A beautiful point of breathing and gratitude that you have mentioned on, and a lot of getaways on that. Now, inviting Dr. Narayan Gaonkar, I think he has been impacting societies at whole in a beautiful manner from 17 plus odd years representing UNICEF. He's a senior health and nutrition specialist at UNICEF, and apart from that, he's been impacting so many people's lives. So even UNICEF perspective, the work that he has been doing, it's beautiful. Over to you, Narayan sir. Please share your thoughts on mental health and the future projects.
Yeah, thank you so much, Aishwarya. I'm so happy to be in this discussion today. Uh, First of all, I would like to explain what is mental health. Mental health is a state of well-being in which an individual realizes her or his own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, and can work productively and is able to make contribution to her or his community. This is actually description of a mental health. One should make conscious effort to stay healthy both physically and mentally, as my other co-panelist has mentioned. So there are many things one can do to stay healthy. Eating right food, sleeping right duration, and doing physical activity, and taking care of self. But many things, when you look in the current community, many things bother us because the magnitude of mental health, it is a little concerning. Around 8 to 9% of the population currently suffer from a common mental disorder. 1 to 2% people suffer from severe mental disorder. And when you talk about mental disorder, it is not only the person who's suffering; it's actually entire family of that person undergoes some kind of stress. And some of these mental illnesses have early onset in the age of adolescent, 10 to 19 years. Some of them, not necessarily all. And 60% and more do not seek care because of stigma, ignorance, unawareness. So, what mental disorders we see in clinical practice or in hospitals is only tip of the iceberg. So you also see increasing trend of suicidal trend, which is also indicate poor mental health conditions. Why I'm describing this is people should know this exists in the society, but we need not to be panic. But what we need to do is we need to be prepared. We should understand and aware of our strength. We should try to stay positive and keep up good physical and mental health all the time. See, young people and adolescents, 10 to 19, and also early age, young people usually do not have much physical illnesses. They are one of the healthiest age group population in the community. They are educated. They use technology. They have a lot of other information. So I suggest, one should count one's own blessings, in life, and see how to stay positive, how to inspire others, how to spread happiness, not only for your own family, but also in your network. And we say during COVID time, no physical distancing should be maintained, but do keep social networks, active and inspire each other, support each other, and contribute for the society currently for coping up, also with the COVID situation. I'll stop here. Maybe happy to answer more questions later. Over to you, Aishwarya.
Yes, amazing. I think beautiful points of blessings and staying with each other mentioned by Narayan sir. Now let's get on a discussion, guys. We're gonna have like fun, discussion with all of us, experts that we have with us. Starting off with Chiranjeev. So, like in COVID, especially, people are so lonely because they're not moving out. Even like majorly youth, because they need engagements. So, what do we do when we are so much surrounded with loneliness in terms of the entire spectrum of COVID now? So, what would be your hack on, positivity when you're feeling lonely and discarded when it comes to society as a whole, especially keeping the youth in mind? So, please share thoughts.
I think all of us belong to that age group where we, for the first time in our lives, we saw something like this, and we were told that you cannot move out of
Right.
your houses, and we were locked right there. You could not even step out, and it was not even like you could go out in your campuses or society or community living and be together, because this is that kind of issue. So you had to be as isolated as possible, and there was a lot of scare that time. I mean, with more cases, we are more carefree these days, and that's completely another discussion. But now that life has come back to 80, 70, 80% normal than used to be, except the large part of gatherings. I think, particularly at that time, what we all did, Ashwarya, was we all remained a lot in touch with our friends, with our staff, and with our mentors. So all of us probably have our mentors and people that we go and share with, like I shared. Also with my friends who are equally, successful, and they've played a big part in my own success journey. All the youth, I think, all of us at this age have a lot of friends, and that is also one of the biggest part that all of us were missing on to meet and connect, and how our regular normal lives were. So what happened is that what I particularly did, and all of us did, was that we scheduled Zoom calls twice a week, and we
Oh
made
wow.
a sheet, an update sheet that we called. And yeah, so and that update sheet, what we did was we used to update each other at every 3 days, 4 days, so twice a week, about the growth that we have done in those 3 days related to our business, related to our personal fitness and personal inner life, or which has a lot of inner growth in ourselves, and also the special things that we did with our family. And that was not just updating the things that we've done, we also had the positive and negatives of it, and also the significance of each of these activities or points or efforts that we brought in for our business or personal life or professional life, how they impacted us in this last 3 days, particularly on the things and the steps that we have taken. So we knew that every 3 days we are connecting with our group of friends, these people who have something exciting to share, who are there inside their houses, they are running their large corporates. At the same time, they have got this time which they never had because their jet set life and they from their private charters is now stuck inside this house of theirs, and they are there with the family for the first time, spending time that they never thought or imagined that they will be able to, spending time with their own self to understand on a lot of things, and a lot
Right.
of course, company challenges that they never thought that they will have to face, because none of us even dreamt that a time like this would have come in our life. So we did a lot of connection, and
Right.
we used each other to literally, hold ourselves in the circle with this technology that we have been blessed with. Like today, all of us are connecting here. Probably this would have been some event like you've been hosting, at IIM and other places, and physically it would have been, we would have been there with each other physically with a lot of people around us.
Right.
But we are doing the same thing by connecting to each other. But that doesn't mean that we have any less ideas that we are going to share or learnings that we are going to share with each other. So we use the same format and we stayed in touch. And I think all of us, who ever have been connecting with the right kind of people, right kind of friends, using the mediums of technology and platforms that we are blessed with in the right way, and also utilizing this time for their inner self and inner growth, have really enjoyed this time. And I don't think the word lonely even bothered to them, because I think this was time that they have been blessed with. And a few of us are even discussing that, yaar, ek baar fir se lockdown aa jaye to, there are a lot of things that we can do again which we missed doing this time.
Lovely. Beautiful point. I think the entire youth who has been part of it is right now, I should really, really implement this and inculcate in their lives. Aditi, your views on, creating awareness on mental health. How is it important? Because you come from a psychological background and there's a lot of stigma. Of course, COVID has played an integral role to make it a, conversational perspective. Like right now, we are healing a lot of people. So, like people are lonely, as mentioned by Chiranjeev. So how can that be sort of catered on? And why conversation around awareness is important?
Well, thank you for the question. I can speak for hours because mental health being so close, and I feel so passionate about it. After having studied human body, because I am a medical doctor as well, and when I focus towards the mind, because I realize that the connection of mind and body is very, very powerful. It's very, very strong. Every single thought that you think of creates reaction in your body. So you have to be very aware, you have to be very careful of the thoughts. It's almost like food, what are you putting in your food? So you are pretty much the combination of what you think and what you eat. So these two become a very crucial part. And mental health is all about that. It's all about your mind. What are you thinking? What is going on? How are you processing whatever is happening? For example, in this very unnatural circumstances of COVID, a lot of people went through a lot of depression, anxiety, panic attacks. Even people who one would not have said that, oh, this person might go through something like that. And they themselves have expressed this to say, we never thought that we would face something like this. So because it is unnatural, it is not normal for any of us to have gone through this. However, it has become way of life. So we have to look at this unnatural circumstances and see how we can come out of it stronger. But for that, the basic awareness of who we are, what is our relationship with ourselves and with others, this is something that we all need to start looking at. We need to start focusing on what our thoughts are. That self awareness itself will get you to change your life. It will get you to transform your life. And it is not rocket science, it is not difficult, but it will definitely it will need for you to take some action. So it's not like if I want to learn swimming, I can read books and I can Google and I can collect all the information, I can research all about it. But unless and until I don't jump in the water, I will not be able to learn swimming. Similarly, where mental well being is concerned, first is awareness, second is knowing what it has, what role it plays in your life, and thirdly, implementing whatever is required for you to make sure that your mind is calm, it's peaceful, even if it is in midst of chaos. So that is what it is all about. And like you said, that conversations around mental well-being or mental disorders even should start becoming more and more normal, should start becoming like they are part of us. So if you have fever, you go to a doctor. Similarly, if I'm not feeling if well mentally, I'm not able to cope with the situation, go to a professional and seek help. Why a professional? Because when you speak to your friends or family, that's a great relief, of course, but they are emotionally vested with you. Like a doctor will never operate on his own body or a family member's body, because emotions play a very big role. Similarly, when you are in a situation where there are people who are emotionally vested, it's a tunnel vision. You will not be able to analyze the situation from a bird's eye point of view. So very important to go to a professional who will provide that safe space to you, where you're not being judged, where you're heard the way you want to be heard, because that's a practice that a psychologist or a counselor goes through. The art of listening is not for responding, but to listen, just to listen. So that becomes a very crucial part, that don't shy away from seeking help, even if you just want to talk. So that is like if you put a pressure cooker on gas, if you don't allow the steam to come out, it's going to explode. So it is something like that, don't let the pressure build inside so much that it will explode, in your brain and your mind. So that is my views on what you asked.
Absolutely. I think beautiful points of art of listening, actually seeking a professional help, and of course, conversation, which is really integral at this moment. I think a great getaway, get pointers from Aditi. Moving on to Ami, you have been impacting a lot of people. So just wanted your views on, at youth as a whole, what can they be done in the bettering mental health in society as a whole, especially youth? How can they do that? How can they inculcate different community programs or, in the social action perspective? What would be your take on that?
So my take on that, Aishwarya, would be that more so now, like one of the things that Aditi said about, just creating that self-awareness in the youth is very, very important. And now more than ever, I think, starting at a younger age, educating the youth about just this awareness towards their mind and towards various things which can help them maybe not get into any kind of negative patterns. Of course, you can't help that. But I remember as a child, something really small. I was at home. I was unwell for a couple of days. I hadn't been to school, and I was just weak. And my mother took me out to Chopati Beach, and she made me go buy some ice cream. And she asked me to give it to some of those, the beggar children who are always hanging around there. And then she looked at me and she said, "Are you feeling better?" And I looked at myself inside, and I was feeling more uplifted. And that is where I got this just this thing of reaching out and helping and being available to people, which we call service. Yeah. So just I think one of the best things to do, I've learned, is the best thing to do is get out of anything which is negative or anxiety or depression. The best thing to get into it is to think about yourself. Constantly say, "What about me? What about me?" And if you want to get out of it, you go out there and you say, "What can I do for you? What can I do for the people around you?" I truly have experienced this firsthand, and I have sent, kind of inculcated this in my students as well. Just being available, doing things for somebody else takes you out of your mental rut. And that is service to me, along with self-awareness, is something that needs to be practiced and inculcated in children. The art of giving of yourself is very, very important. So during COVID times, what we've done is, of course, we've taught courses to thousands and thousands, lakhs of students across the country, across the world actually, and really created these groups where we teach children how to kind of get into themselves, like Aditi said, create that self-awareness in them from childhood, and also teach them the art of giving, which is very, very important. I truly believe that when you do something for the world, when you do something for society, society takes care of it. So I would say definitely, self-awareness, helping them, teaching them about service activity, doing something for other people, and also, just teaching them small things like breathing, exercise, combined. It's a holistic lifestyle. So just being able to bring that into children from a younger age can definitely help them go a long way.
Absolutely. I think the art of service is an important factor which we do inculcate in adolescence, because that's where the mind channeling starts happening. I think that's the most important factors right now. Over to you, Ahana. I would love to know how can we have a silver lining from the COVID, especially because optimism is something which is very required to gain confidence and hope as well. So, what is your take in finding that hope in this entire chaos that we all are in?
So, hi everyone. Also, in my previous bit, I'm sorry I forgot to my basic manners of thank you for having me and hello to everyone. So, saying that now. So basically, what I think the silver lining in COVID-19, and this is another thing that I've written, is basically this is something that the world, universe, a higher consciousness, whatever you want to call it, something that is invisible to us has taught us that for richer or poorer, for darker or fairer, we are all in this together. And that is just how it is. And there is nothing that anybody can do about this except try and come together as a human species. And this is my actual hope for it. And I hope more people see the light in this. This is an internal war of some sorts where we have spent so much of our energy and resources on pillaging the world and using it too much. Right now is a great time to step back, be kinder to one another, be more understanding with yourself, and know that whatever it is, your neighbor is going through something similar than what you are. And like Ami just mentioned, offering help whenever you can. It's weird that you said that, Ami, because strangely enough, my mom also has told me. So I live in this space called Bandra in Bombay, and there's a promenade area right by the sea. So literally, whenever this is pre-COVID, but literally whenever I was a bit extra down, I would literally just move myself and go for a walk there, and you just see the environment around you, and the gratitude comes automatically, because there are the times when you can't, it doesn't, and you just self victimize yourself to a whole other level. So that is a great thing, and if kids can be taught that when they are much younger, or even if you reach an older stage of life, and that is something that you can inculcate, it is extremely helpful. So yes, so also I work with the subconscious mind. So I think the silver lining in COVID-19 is that at least a lot of people that I've spoken to in the space of work that I'm in have become more aware of this, have started accepting that there are things that need to be changed in themselves, and are kinder to others about it. So that is the silver lining that I hope the same way I'm seeing it, everyone else is seeing it. And having said that, before I wind this up, just want to say I absolutely am aware of the fact that there are people who are not in a position to see a silver lining. We are lucky enough and have the luxury to be having this conversation to see that silver lining. So, as human beings, it is our duty to harness more of that energy then to combat it for the people who are not in a position to see that silver lining right now, and maybe send some of that energy their way, so that the tide turns for them as well. So I hope that sends a bit of an optimistic message out to everyone. And like I said, for richer or poorer, for darker or fairer, we are all in this together. First time in
Yes,
our lifetime.
absolutely. Speaking about optimism, I think one of the biggest optimism soul that we have here would be Narayan sir, who is actually impacting in the grassroots level. So I would love to ask Narayan sir that in context of children and youth, especially in this COVID time, when they're not able to sort of go out of the house and not doing any outdoor activity, and whatever projects that we have been doing with UNICEF at the whole, if you can light on those projects as well as talk around the hacks of it, how we've impacted people. Like today morning itself, we signed an agreement. UNICEF has to formulate the government of Gujarat for impacting an autism spectrum through the blessing of Narayan sir. So please share your thoughts on the same, sir.
This year, mental health theme, we mentioned we need to make greater investment and we need to improve, access, greater access. So I agree with you. We need to make lot of advocacy and we need to build partnerships. So in this regard, I would like to mention couple of things, we are doing currently. Investment is needed for the government and also from non-governmental organization to mitigate the mental health impact of COVID-19 also. So these investments are needed much more than what used to happen in the past. We are seriously advocating with the government to make mental health as an essential component of universal health coverage to improve access to mental health care. This means we need to invest more on the capacity building of our existing health workforce. We also probably need to bring in more mental health human resources, those who are skilled, so that we make mental health services available very closer to people. They need not to travel long distances. So we hear a lot of center of excellence of mental health. You might have heard about Nimans in Bangalore. Similarly, we are working with a mental health hospital in Ahmedabad, which is a state center. State Institute of Mental Health is actually it's called Center of Excellence for Mental Health. So we would like to see more Nimas like institution to come up, in the country, so where support is available to large number of people, not only for service delivery, but also creating large number of skilled human resources to address mental health issues. We are looking for a broader, stakeholder consultations and engagement. Today is a wonderful opportunity. We see people from different walks of life coming and sharing experiences and also inspiring youth. This is wonderful. So we also want to bring the voices of people who actually underwent, mental health illness and now they are better. They can share experiences and they can also bring to the table of policymaker what are the needs of people who are actually suffering, because they have experience in the past. So they can actually not only share the experiences, but also we want to bring them on the policy making table so that their voices are heard and right adjustment are made in the policy formulation. There is something which is a very difficult one, this poverty is both contributing factor for mental health problems and also barrier in accessing services. So all of us must advocate to break this vicious cycle of poverty and mental health. I mentioned partnership. Partnership, when I say we need to build a lot of interdepartmental coordination mechanism within health system and also beyond health system. But also we need a lot of partnership with the psychiatric association and other private sector players in the country at national level, at international level. Today we had a very significant discussions also with the education departments. The secretary was very kind of very active. A lot of vision statements have come. They said if the mental health illness is actually starting at the young age, why don't we do some mitigating measure? Why don't we encourage sports? Why don't we encourage physical activity? So adolescent age 10 to 19 years is it's actually lifestyle formative years. If you can inculcate good habits among the children, their entire trajectory of life will change. So we need to make sure our children are actually spending a lot of time in physical activity. Many of you are aware, more than 25% of the children in urban area are overweight. And many of my colleagues agree this obesity and depression at times can become a vicious cycle. They become obese, they think they are not looking good, so they don't go out for any activity. And only thing they derive pleasure is eating a lot of good food. So they become obese again. So they don't walk out. So these are something we need to inform our children to make the lifestyle modification. We are engaging with many other departments like social justice, women and child welfare department, so that they have their own mechanism to reach large number of people. In the past, when the emergency used to strike, either you earthquake, flood, it used to be in a small area of one district, one taluka, two districts. But now this current pandemic is actually across the globe. So we need more partnership, more people, more social service workers in government, outside the government. So we are engaging with the CSOs and youth groups. Gujarat University is one such classical example. We would like to have a celebrity engagement to encourage speaking up culture for mental health. You have seen many film stars already accepting and asking people to seek care. Investment must be about more than just the money. It is not just spending more money. We also want more people to come and lead actions, share experiences. You heard from many of our panelists who are really leading by example. We need those spirits. So at the end, I would like to ask you, who is primarily responsible for your mental health? It's you. So other people can help, but as an individual, we are responsible for our physical health as well as mental health. So please take a good care of yourself, eat good food, have regular physical activity, stay positive but COVID negative. Okay. And speaking up with the trusted people, parents, siblings, friends, teachers, this will help. What a mind with confusion is looking at another mind which is not confused. So if we can conversate, if you can speak up, we can share many issues which are in very early stages can be addressed without requiring pharmacological care or medical care. So there are a lot of helpline in Gujarat. We are very lucky. We have 1100. Niman says another helpline. So be aware of what services and support system available in and around you. There are a lot of good NGOs who are actually giving a lot of supportive care. So my suggestion is we should be mindful, we should be aware, we should be informed, and we should be not hesitating taking help when required. I was also mentioning to my colleagues we will require a broader partnership, more people joining the movement and create greater engagement. And we are also really looking for champions among the children and adolescents. They can be champions in their own schools, in their own college, and we see a lot of
Totally.
inspiring young leaders. Maybe that's another way. And last week I was talking to adolescents. They say nothing to us without us. So consult us whenever you plan anything for us.
Right.
Great way.
Right.
Over to you,
Beautiful.
Aishwarya.
I think absolutely. I mean, I'm a young youth of India. I feel so blessed that all of you guys are just talking on one mission to heal all of us. I think we are really privileged and honored. I have a lot of questions for each of you. I'll just start off quickly with Aditi. One of the entrepreneurs with us have asked that what are the different outlets that they can use whenever they're feeling stressed out? Because youth may go through a lot of these emotional challenges from relationships, failures, the parents pressures, peer pressure, even addiction per se. A lot of violence happens accordingly. So quick outlets that you can share on that they can indulge like really quickly. Over to you, Aditi.
Right. So if you are in a given situation, where it is so stressful that you can't even sit for 5 minutes to meditate, or it's just that there is so much restlessness, you can't sleep, you cannot become, that comfort level is not there itself. You're extremely restless. The quick way of then tackling with that stressful situation is to distract yourself, maybe by speaking to a friend who's really funny, who will bring that smile to your face, or watching a video with cute animals or babies, or watch a funny series. But this is a very short term kind of trick that you can use, a tip that you can use, that you distract yourself. You create a space between what is happening and yourself. The minute that space is created, you will start feeling a little better about yourself, and then take action to whatever needs to be done. So it's not like you watch a series for hours on end and sweep the problem under the carpet. No, you distract yourself for maybe half an hour, 1.5 hour, but then go back to the board and see what needs to be done, and then take action accordingly. So that is a quick way of looking at dealing with a stressful situation. Now, if you're in a chronic kind of stress, because if you're the caregiver as a young person, you might be staying with a parent who is really unwell, or you might be in a dysfunctional relationship and that stress is chronic, then you got to assess that it's like a bank account that you have to, if you're constantly taking out energy from yourself and you're not putting any credit, you are going to go into a negative balance. So very crucial that self-care becomes a very, very important point. Start looking after yourself. Exercise is the best way to immediately release those hormones which will take you to the next level. So go for a walk, or jog, or do push-ups or squats. It's a quick way. It's a very quick way to getting out of the stressful situation. So that's one way. Speaking to somebody about how to take care of yourself, that how this situation, this chronic stressor is causing so much of pain for you, so that then you can discuss what is it that you can do that will take your mind away, and yet be strong, yet be there for the person who needs you. So this is another way of looking at it. So taking care of what you're eating, your physical health, that automatically will build your energy towards your mental well-being, so that you're able to deal with the situation in a much better manner. Of course, there are many more tips that one can, tools and techniques that I can share, but that will take a couple of hours. So back to you, Aishwarya.
Absolutely. I think awareness, going to a psychologist or a professional help, and of course, getting internally motivated to do something, at that particular moment is what is required. Beautiful point by, Aditi. Speaking to you, Ahana, because we categorize in the entire youth spectrum, So how do we manage the social content that we are facing right now? And I think you are a beautiful poet. I would love if you can share a beautiful piece of yours, so that we just feel the healing through the words of yours. Ahana, over to you.
Thanks, Aishwarya. So yes, like I mentioned, content consumption is on the rise with everyone in the youth space of life, and like I said, it is what it is, and there's no shying away from it. But scrolling has kind of become what we do, and that also is. Before I go into a little piece that I've written based on voices in our head, that is also something our screen kind of leads to a lot of loneliness amongst the youth, because it is very, very easy to just get lost inside the vortex of different platforms and feed the dopamine hit, which is just very temporary, and then it goes away once you kind of go offline, and then you're like all the thoughts hit you. So we all have, at whatever age it is, whether it's the youth or older, but I guess when you're younger and before you kind of find your complete footing in life, which kind of changes all the time as well, there are voices that we constantly battle with. They are either voices that external people tell us what to do or how to feel, or our internal mind based on what we're reading, what we're watching, and things like that. And that is what kind of goes up and down with the mind. So this is like a little 3 minute piece that I think the youth will relate to a lot, as well as people who just cross the youth space of life. I don't know when's a good time to mention that. But yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead with it. It's called Battling the Voices. And this is essentially a conversation that we all have with ourselves quite often. Don't think about it. Distract yourself. Things happen to everyone. There is nothing wrong with your mental health. Look at the glass half full. You will feel less misunderstood. The coffee is over now. Let's get on with the day and do what we should. Was that a pep talk meant to make me feel good? Was that the takeaway to be understood? Is it all really in my head? Is wearing a happy mask better instead? If it is, should I not be thinking about it so much? Why does my head feel so internally crushed? Too many thoughts to mangle through my brain, definitely not helping with the pain. I better stop myself before I create a self victimized "what is wrong with me" campaign. I'll read a self help book later. That's got to help with community fast thought train. How was your day? I hope you didn't waste it away. Thinking about things that don't deserve to be on replay. You should forget those thoughts. Time cannot be bought. Make the best of all you've got. Ooh, I guess that's my next pep talk. I think to myself, maybe that does make sense and is food for thought. But this mind, the voices in my head, they won't stop. There is a faint voice of reason through all of the noise. One that says wearing a mask won't make my feelings devoid. Accept it, deal with it. The harder you resist, the more it will persist. I want this conflict to stop. That's all I currently wish. The voice of reason gets louder. That's you avoiding yourself. Accept it, deal with it. Feel the happy, honest feel. That is your entire way. A quick moment of courage unravels itself through this new voice. Okay, I'm going to deal and heal. This is my new choice. You look like you are thinking again about what I told you to forget. Oh my god, there's that external voice once more. I shouldn't let it mess with my head. No, I'm good. I've decided not to distract myself. Instead, I'm going to face what I think may be the worst and give resilience and love above all to my mental health. So, yes, this is a little piece that I wrote about mental health and the
This
voices that we
is
play with in our head
wow. This
constantly.
is right.
So,
This
I
is
hope
out
that
of
we can
world. I mean, yes, yeah. Your words heal like nothing else can. I mean, I'm a big fan of you, and I'm sure after this poetry of yours, a lot of youth will be crazy after you furthermore. So, thank you so much. Over to you, Ami. I think the way the breathing and the entire yoga, the wellness, how it channels our brains. I think no one can talk about it better than you. So if you can just give light on how these different activities can actually make us feel good whenever we're going through the mental health, illness in our head. So, Ami, your take on this, please.
So, well, I'm glad you asked this, Aishwarya, because first of all, Ahana, I have to tell you, your poetry was really charming and very
Yes.
uplifting. And so, when it comes to the breathing technique that I teach, the Sudarshan Kriya, is actually, we've had a lot of research. There's a lot of science behind it, and we have NIMHANS, we have research from AIMS, we have research from, the Harvard Medical School. And if anyone is interested in that kind of research, it's all available on the internet on, what it does to the cortisol levels, what it does to the alpha, beta waves, and inside ourselves. There's a lot of talk about the vagus nerve now. The vagus nerve is a very, very important nerve that is, connects all the major functions and all the major glands in the system. It activates the vagus nerve, which means it, creates a calming effect on the rest of the system. So yes, this breathing technique has a lot of power in it, and there's a lot of science in it. But truly, I feel that there's one side you have science, and then on the other side you have real experience. Yeah. So I feel that it's important to actually experience it for yourself, experience the well-being, and then look into the research and the science that's available. because first, nothing beats first-hand experience. Yeah, so that to me is really important. And recently Yale University actually did some amazing research where they had students do different things, different activities, and the most powerful and the most effective activity they found was the sky breathing technique. Sky is the Sudarshan Kriya Yoga. So they did this at Yale just, I think, a month ago, and the research is out, and there are articles on this, which was really phenomenal. So like I said, let experience speak for it. Yeah. So yes, please go and do some breath work because it will immediately lift your mind. There is nothing better than taking a healthy deep breath in and a deep breath out, a breath at a time, a moment at a time, and that will lead you to more and more and more health and well-being. And those moments will eventually become hours and days, and it can span into years and a lifetime. So that's how I see breath work. You take a breath at a time, you take your life a breath at a time, and if you learn how to breathe healthy, you can definitely breathe, live healthy. Especially now during COVID times, you need to expand that lung capacity. You need to make sure that your breath is not shallow. There's so many doctors who have shared that taking full deep breaths, and your lungs can be saved, because at the end of the day, COVID is a lung affected illness. So yeah. So I would say
Absolutely. I
just
mean, beautifully
experience it.
addressed.
Thank you.
Absolutely. The breathing is, I think, the most scientific thing we could ever think of. And I think everybody should apply this at least once in a day or even once in 1 week. It'll impact a lot of lives. We have three more questions. If you can sort of, we can talk around. One was, Narayan, so if you can shed some light on coverage of mental health in National Education Policy 2020, what would be your take on that?
See, there are the multiple
Hello, Narayan, sir?
opportunities. Hello, can you
Hello.
hear me?
Yeah,
Hello.
Narayan, sir, am I audible?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
totally.
okay. See, government has got many programs. We have now our district mental health programs up and running in all the states, but they may be in different level of implementation. In the national education policy, and also in our we have a very ambitious program now under PMJ, with Pradhan Mantri, this Jana Yojana. We have a school health programs coming up. So there is a good focus of mental health, along with physical health in all these schemes. But the implementation will depend on the capacities of the state governments, and many of our children who are in private school probably may not be necessarily will be covered. So, but fortunately in India, we have a good network of private hospitals who are actually serving, in almost 30 to 50% of the population in urban area. So, professional support will be available both in private and in government. But in the years to come, under universal health coverage, there is a plan to reach out to large number of people. You also might have heard health and wellness centers in public health facilities. So there is a huge plan, big plan, rollout plan to improving access to mental health, making it as a part of a primary healthcare roadmap. So in the days to come, we are looking at increased awareness and also access improved, both in public health facility and private health facility. Maybe I'll happy to answer any specific questions on this, maybe bilaterally.
Yeah. If youth wants to participate in any of these platforms to impact the society, how can they do that?
See, there are multiple. We have in public health programs there is a peer educators who are there is a Rashtriya Kishora Swasthya Karyakram. There is a peer educator programs where adolescents connect one to another. This is basically benefiting the out of school adolescents and young people. There is a platform for children in the schools. There will be many opportunity, but the older one, those who are in the college, there are there are many opportunity. We can maybe learn from innovation set up in Gujarat University, where there's a youth forum, youth for social change. We see similar one in rural areas of Chhattisgarh, where people said we will transform the society, learning from our COVID experience and trying to build systems in all sectors better than before. They said we'll spend additional hours, we'll provide services. So it depends on the district collector, and in urban areas the commissioners, and and also the civil society, how to engage youth in a productive way. If any good ideas, I think there are people to nurture those ideas and take it forward.
Beautiful. I think it's a great opportunity for the entire youth to felicitate the entire program that is being run by such a beautiful organization with leaders like Vijay sir and Narayan sir. Thank you so much, Narayan. So over to you, Ami. We have a beautiful question coming along. Hello.
Yes.
Someone really want to know that as per society, in terms of the death of the current, someone from the actor background, you think we have been positive and happy towards the contribution of it? What would be your take on this?
I can see the question. It says, do you think we as a society missed the opportunity to bring discussion about mental health to mainstream after the death of a popular actor recently? So,
Yeah,
Vaibhav has asked this question. Vaibhav, I'd like to say that, yes, there's been an unfortunate death of a popular actor, but the statistics show that there is all over the world there is one death by suicide every 45 seconds. Yeah. So when someone popular or someone famous attempts or dies by suicide, it obviously draws attention to this problem that yes, we definitely have, not there. We definitely shy away from seeking help, and etc. etc. There's a lot that's been spoken about, but it's never too late. So instead of thinking of what we missed, I would say, come to the present moment and see what you can do and how you can reach out and change these statistics. Uh, for every 45 seconds, one in the world, and India, the figures are not great either. So I definitely think that all of us, making a difference and reaching out in our own way can definitely help the future.
absolutely. And what would be your take on this?
My take on it, I'm actually really surprised with the statistics. I didn't know that, so thanks for that, Ami. I knew it was high, but I didn't know it's that high. Um, yes, I absolutely. From the mind space that I come from, I would have definitely liked the news to have been skewed in a little more of a conscious way, with a little more respect in general. And yes, mental health in this particular situation, because it was a star, could have been used in a light that helps other people not deal with the same thing, and careless judgments and statements without any knowledge of facts could definitely been avoided. But again, that's just a conscious way of thinking, and I think one very very great takeaway, which I hope somehow comes about by the end of this, is that it's a soul versus ego for all of us living beings, and you get to choose which one you want to feed, whether you want to feed your ego or you want to feed your soul. And once you feed your soul, you automatically more human towards situations and incidents that take place, and you've not let your ego override what you may or may not know. So that is what it is. To answer in a simple yes or no to that, yes, I do think we could have focused more on mental well-being, which is a very factual thing, just like physical well-being that I had mentioned earlier. So yes.
Beautifully, beautifully quoted. We'll just, cover up the entire session of ours. If you can just have few quick hacks or, few thoughts of yours on the ending note, Ami and Ahana and Narayan sir, it'll be lovely.
Well, honestly, thoughts are, I think, just recapping on everything would mean truly, uh, everything that we've spoken about right now, gratitude, lifestyle is really important. Self-care is the buzzword right now, and everybody is, been talking about self-care, but truly understanding what self-care is. To me, self-care is something that's beyond relaxation. It's not just a massage or a facial. Self-care is really going deep down within yourself and caring for the self. The self is, according to me, the intelligence that has created this planet and that lives within you, and taking care of that self and making sure that that self is taken care of and everyone else is what the way forward would be.
Yeah, so I'm going to give a few hacks basically for what I would like to call us quite the ADHD generation. And few quick tips that we can do that no matter how busy you are or how much you believe you don't have time, these can be inculcated into that system. So that's what I do in my workspace with my clients and things like that, because I know I use that as an excuse quite often. So hence I have from my toolbox of self-care, these are tools that can be used. One is literally when you're in a shower, and that is something that you do every day. Take 30 seconds out and basically, I won't get into the whole chakra system, but your crown system, your crown chakra in your head, you literally just visualize while the shower is going on, or even if you're having like a bucket bath, you pour the water and you just visualize blessings entering your system and just say thank you, thank you, thank you, even if you are in the worst mood ever. So this is a quick hack for the ADHD generation and for everybody actually. Another really, really quick on the go hack is what I call replacement statements. Is that when your mind is circling with negative thoughts or the worst possible outcome, or oh my god, all the anxiety goes from 0 to 100 in like 3 seconds. Replacement thoughts is I don't tell anybody to stop thinking that or just forget about it or things like that, because I know that aggravates more. So instead, let those thoughts continue, but replacement statements are essentially the shortest thing, few words that you can string together and just put it on repeat mode. So, and if it's something that you can't come to a conclusion about, just be like, everything is going to work out. I love and accept myself just the way I am. My life is going well. So you just replace it with that. So you're not forcing yourself, like Amiya mentioned, or you're not resisting the negative thoughts. You're just replacing it. And my third quick hack, which honestly I do like really often, is that there are always situations and circumstances that happen in life where you, as human beings, again, as we had mentioned earlier, 80% of our thoughts every day are negative. And we go into like the worst possible scenarios of what will happen to it. And the more we try to like be like, no, mustn't. So that is for the replacement statements for that. Or you can use this other one, which is a bit of a daydreaming technique, which I call change your narrative. So my point is, you're anyways using that energy to predict, you're being a fortune teller to yourself to predict the worst possible outcome. So you might as well use that same imagination energy to predict the best possible outcome, because in both cases they're just predictions anyways, right? Like I said, you're being your own fortune teller. So if you're using that energy, dream, like go nuts, think of the best possible scenario, think of the worst possible scenario, just become aware in that second, and however delusional or whatever it might think, because what happens with that is that you're changing the vibration in your system, and then you will take an action towards it, however tiny it may be, which is definitely better than sitting and just wallowing and spinning in it. Also, you can give yourself maybe a little time, maybe an hour or a day, depending on your personality, to wallow in it if it makes you feel better. But no, this is a hack that you can do to use the imagination that you're anyways using. So yeah, these are my three hacks: shower blessings,
Totally.
replacement
Absolutely.
statements, and
Because,
personality.
yeah, absolutely. Because mind is a monkey. We can literally train our monkey the way we want to. And the hormones can totally be in our control. Beautifully quoted, Ahana. Narayan sir, your last like bit of your experience and journey on the entire session that we had. So I think we have a lot of getaways from our I think we really want to say that if you think positive, good things will happen to you. And all of us who were there on the panel, I think we are blessed and we are chosen to be here because we are healing so many people. Today, thousands of youth have joined in this particular platform and we have ignited the positivity vibration all around. So I think hats off to all of us. And there are a couple of more questions which we'll be taking offline. I think, like I mentioned, we are blessed, and let's have the channel of gratitude and spread happiness virus from this moment in time, and invite optimism like a magnet, like never can. Thank you, Ami, and thank you, Ahana, and everybody who joined us. It was such a pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you, everyone. Ciao.
Yeah.